Okay, everyone. I think we should be good. Hello to another episode of Mimosa Hotline. Welcome. Today is Thursday. We have business strategist Ronnie Bartles, myself, brand strategist Ashley Rutter, and today our special guest, Stephanie Rutter, who is the wonderful real estate agent that helped me move to Chicago and one of our new business besties and lifetime besties and all of the things. So thanks for joining us today. We are a little late to the party because we were, playing with tech. So, let's just start off the bat with how's everybody holding up? Because we've got literally the cosmos against us. We have Pluto in retrograde, Mercury in retrograde, an eclipse. We have a full moon happening. Is there any planet working in our favor right now? That would be my question. Anyone know? Because
I'm not so sure.
I literally messaged Ronnie yesterday. I was like, okay, so you know how we have like sage to keep away negative energies? Is there something like a planet off spray or something? Because I'm getting a little feisty.
A lunar is a bad thing. I feel like that's a good thing. It's a good time to like look within and reflect on things like to let go of for new beginnings. But the Mercury retrograde has definitely been
a rough one.
Yes, I agree. I've been really tired.
Mine's been tech issues.
Yeah.
Mine's been tech issues.
Hi.
Mine's been tech issues.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. Hold on.
Although it's like, keep going and going.
I know. I was muting us and I don't even know if we heard what poor Stephanie just said, but I had muted us so it wouldn't hear the feedback of me getting to the comments. But anyways, who knows? You know what, y'all? We're here. Like, join the freaking conversation.
Welcome to how business life works. Yeah.
So Stephanie, now you understand. This is our fabulous shit show that we call Mimosa Hotline. And we intentionally try and talk about business, marketing, branding, life. And sometimes life just kicks our ass into the show. And that's how it is. Someday, in the near future, when we're rich and famous, we will have a full-time editor that can just chop this shit out. Until then, the truth is out and people get to see the realness. So raw, real, unfiltered, cussing is welcome. You can't say anything wrong on this show. We hold space for everything. So as we dive in and discuss today, whatever the hell we're going to talk about, just know it's a free, safe space to say anything that you want to say. So on the topic of things, we all connected for our birthdays. So that was exciting. Happy belated birthday to Ronnie and I, and soon to be you with your birthday and things. And what's going on for everybody other than we're getting pummeled by the planets?
I think everybody I've talked to is in like an existential crisis right now. Like it's work-wise, life-wise, everything. Like it's craziness. Everybody's crazy at the moment.
Yeah. How about you, Steph? What's going on in your world?
Same thing. Now that you say that, I'm like, it's been like a whirlwind this entire week.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Already Thursday. And I'm like, wait, we're already at Thursday. Like normally I'm like, wow, that went by too fast. But now I'm like, there's just been too much. It's been one thing. Yeah. After another. So, but it'll pass.
Yeah, I'm like, let's put it past because I am focused. And I rejoined Astrology Circle is what I'll call it yesterday. And oh my God, I have been not in there for a while and I actually missed it. I was like, okay, this is why I'm in here. Because I don't speak astrology as like my second language yet, I'm not going to go into it. But what I would say is it was so reassuring and validating of everything that I was feeling. We've been talking about. And I was like, okay, cool. But I want to get more into it because I feel like then I wouldn't spin out so hard if I had like tangible reason for things. Like I just wake up feeling like a piece of blob of goo of nothingness. And then they're like, oh yeah, right now, all like 10 different planets are squishing you like a bug. And you're like, okay, then I'm meant to be goo. Duh. And like, you're fine with it. But if you just wake up hoping to have a good day, thinking you're going to be like a solid human, rude.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, like we're talking about this, but I just did my solar with an astrologer like yesterday.
Yeah, tell us about that. I want to hear.
Yeah, it was awesome. I do it every year around my birthday, like, just kind of see what is coming up for the year. And it's always so funny when I get close to it, like come March-ish, I start to already notice like a shift in energy for the new year, just because, everything in that's like solar returning back into your sun, starts to like just shift some energies. And I definitely noticed it like end of March, beginning of April, that kind of shift. And like everything that I had already started to feel echoed in everything she said. Every year this happens of
okay.
like she starts to dive in and I'm like, yep. Like, and then she's always so amazing because she's like, like, how does that sound? Like, do you have any questions? Do you get it? I'm like, nope.
How is she doing this? Is she using like your birth year and your birthday? Like,
yeah. So she uses my natal chart, which is, your birth chart that everybody has that kind of stays the same. And my very first one with her, we did a birth chart reading like years ago. And then each year when I do the solar return, she looks at my birth chart and then the return and kind of like compares things throughout, between the two. So sometimes it's a little jump back and forth between the two. But all in all, your birth chart kind of stays the same. So it's just kind of correlating that to what's coming up in the year. So yeah, it was just interesting because I've been with her for years. So she knows I only see her once a year for that. She's also one of my Zumba instructors. So I haven't done her class in a long time, but this is also how I know her, is through Zumba. But I also know her through another coach. She's Aleka through Shauna. So like, it's a whole big circle. It's a small town. But each year it's kind of like, she already knows exactly what's going on in my life before I even get on the call. It's so weird. So this year's a Virgo year for me.
Okay. And for all of us, what does that mean?
So like each year, you kind of, your solar return natal chart, I don't know this is where I get a little lost in the language of how it works. But each year on your solar return, you come into a new sign for the year is kind of the theme for the year. And so like one year it was Scorpio. Last year it was, I think, Pisces or something. I don't remember what it was last year. This year is going to be a Virgo year. And so kind of like thinking about the traits of the zodiac of Virgo, like those are the themes that are going to be happening or that I have challenges with or need to like come up against throughout the year. So Virgo tends to be a sign that is very similar to a Taurus and a Capricorn when it comes to like making money. But while like a Capricorn is very much like, let's make money. Here's how, like, just go for it. Do all the tasks and do all the things. And Taurus is kind of like, I just like money because I like really nice things. Virgo is like, I have a bigger purpose in the world. How am I going to make like, how do I translate that into something and actually like live from it? So that's my year this year.
Interesting. I'm curious, Stephanie, with all, like, people don't know you. So if you want to give a brief introduction of yourself, you should definitely do that. But also like, you speak woo, you're into astrology. How much do you live it in your life? Do you have mindful practices with it? Do you like pay attention to it? Does it backhand you across the back of the head and you're like, ah, shit, it's that stuff again. Like, how does it feed into your world and life?
So first of all, I'm Stephanie from Chicago. I do real estate. If you ever need help with anything, please reach out. So I've always had like a fascination with astrology, and I definitely think that it matches up, correlates like through and through with like what I'm going through. And it just makes things like make sense if things aren't, going the right, or if I'm vibrating on a really high level. I always feel like the planets or something it goes hand in hand. I don't know, like you said, I thought that was funny. I don't necessarily speak astrology fluently, but I do understand. I definitely have like little rituals and stuff that I do. Like my family laughs at me and my friends laugh at me. Every first of the month, I'm blowing cinnamon and sea salt through the door. I mean, there's different things. I carry rocks in my pockets at times to, I don't know, whatever. But at the same time, I think it's kind of what you believe. And if it's me carrying this rock in my pocket makes me think I'm going to make a couple extra dollars or keep me calm or communicate better, well, then so be it. So
absolutely. That's very much how we take this approach too. You know, you have to be mindful. We had an awesome conversation about mindfulness of who you can tell this to. Not everyone is open-minded enough or feels threatened by having someone have a different way or a different thought. But, you know, whether we're saying praying, manifesting, let it be, amen. It's kind of the same intention behind it, but you also can get some weird looks. People make fun of you, all the things. I was like, I love the cinnamon. Like, tell me more. What's the cinnamon through the door? What do you do there? Like, because I want to know this. I've heard of it on New Year's, but I didn't know at the beginning of every month, because girl, I've got extra cinnamon. What do I do with this stuff?
So every first of the month, I will like clean before, obviously the first, like of the 30th or the 31st, I clean really thoroughly. And then on the first, I'll blow sea salt because that's like a cleansing.
Negative energies absorbed.
Right. Blow that in through the door, and I'll say like a little prayer, woohoo or something, you know, like here, cleanse my space with, you know, harm to none, love to all, and whatever. And then I'll blow the cinnamon through the door, and I'll say something similar, like, you know, bringing prosperity and abundance and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah. And then you leave it on the floor for 24 hours and then you sweep it up. But I do it every first of the month. And I always like peep around because I live in a bigger building. So I have to look in the hallway and make sure no one's like coming around.
I totally was going to ask, like, has anybody walked by while you were doing it one time?
I would be like, and some for you. No, I mean, like, I don't know if I saw that in any religion, form, fashion, and somebody else, I would just like stop and hold space for that and then ask, like, what is this? Can I like, I want to know
how do
more.
I do it?
Well, and then like, I don't know, I'll cleanse my space with sage. I always keep Palo Santo on my desk at work, and people, when I feel like they're being negative, I light it right up, and they think I'm patronizing them, and I kind of am, but I'm also just like, no, really, I need to like protect my space. So
yeah,
it's important, you know, and it's funny that with such beauty and clear intention behind woo or spirituality or these ways of intention and manifesting, I feel like we're the ones that are the most fearful of sharing, yet the other ones that can be like weaponized are often the most bold about their practices.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's interesting. Not to call anyone out, to each their own. Like, we know, we say this is all safe space and I love all of you, however you're practicing your shit, but like, it's interesting. I love that. No, I actually want to be more mindful of that. You know, I too definitely need to clean once a month, but now I love how you're like, it's at the end, the 30th, 31st, like I can do that. That's easy. So like, I'll do that and start making that a routine. And I actually like putting some of the rituals on my calendar, where it'll say like, I actually changed morning routine to morning ritual. Just that change of word, it makes it different for me. Like,
maybe that's something you and I can look into too, because I feel like I've always had like my discipline with this and stuff too, but I was like, there's gotta be groups or something just to like fully indulge. Cause I'm like, I don't know, like I have a friend and he was always complaining, like, I need a raise. And during this time, he was really big on the manifesting videos and sending me stuff. And I love it. I listen to those all the time. But now all of a sudden you get your raise and I notice that you're not doing these things anymore. And I'm like, you can't just do it when you want it.
Right.
It's the same with like people when they're like, okay, if you're religious and you believe in God or Jesus, well, you can't just pray to God when you need help. You have to pray to God always. Like, you know what I mean? It's a consistent thing. So it's like, okay, now everything's good in my life. So I'm just going to forget about being grateful or those practices that got me here to begin with, when there was a time that I was miserable or sad or really wanting what I have now. Yeah. And I did things to get that. And then you forget about it. So I just don't know how to fall in that crack, but I am human. And like, sometimes it does happen, but I'm like, how do I don't know. Anyways, but
no, that's a really good point.
Yeah. And all of us are in that boat too right now,
Yep.
you know, of just like, okay, you remember like maintaining it. And it's so true. Like when things are good, we're like, well, it's good, so it's done. And it's like, we don't think that there's the same way exercising or something. You have to maintain the body once you get the body, you know, and it's like, keep going. But we're like, no, I'm hot now.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall off the wagon on things like that. Yeah.
For sure. No, and I love that. And I love knowing that you're as mindful, like I knew this, but we're getting to know each other too more as friends now. But like knowing that, like, yeah, let's set this up. Like I had the cleaning lady come, I call them goddesses. We were never allowed to call them maids or cleaning ladies or anything, but she came and I was like laughing because I'm like helping her clean. I made her lunch. Like I felt so like guilty for having her, but also like I needed her. Like it was very helpful. But like I was schooled yesterday about like, no, you need to receive that. Like she's receiving your payment. She's receiving the joy of doing her job and running her business. Like you don't need to like help her clean. And so one thing though, that would be really simple is just like schedule her at the end of the month. Yeah. Like instead of whenever it was that we did it, but just schedule it and then have that own little thing. And then if she's like, why is there cinnamon at the door? I'll be like, so the gingerbread man came over. I don't know, like what's that thing?
I
like
know something about like it was funny.
Muffin Man or whatever. Who was that? Like, do you know the Muffin Man?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm excited because there should be some moon jams starting soon, and those will be closer to your house, Ashley. So we'll definitely go. It's the full moon, and they go out with all the drums and the fire throwers, and that's fun. The energy, yeah, totally a woo time.
Yeah, I'm there for it, and I've been it's been interesting. I've been meeting more people that are open to woo that I don't have to necessarily like shish about it. Like it's been very interesting. I actually, I got a new journal. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but it's on my desk. It's called Dear Universe. The thing is gorgeous, by the way, gold, very well made. And thank you to Instagram. I saw the damn thing. And I swear to you, after 2 conversations, I was just like, yes, for this amount. Yes. Like whatever it is. I think it's like one of those $33.33, whatever. I'm actually so excited I got it because as we were talking about that exact thing of just that daily practice, this is like set up for that. There's like, what is it? I want to quote it right if it's going to be in front of me, might as well, but morning connection and evening reflection. And I just thought, you know what? I already love journaling. I know Ronnie, don't freak out. She does not love journaling, but I thought, you know what? It's just there as like a habit maker for me to do it. And the sexy thing, we all know I love 90-day plans and working on 90 days. This is a 13-week one. And I was just like, this is too serendipitous for me. Like, I love this. So I got her. We'll see what she does for me. But I was having fun this morning setting it up, you know, writing the letter to your future self, writing your dear universe, like what you're committed to sharing. And it was fun. And I appreciated it. And I actually have a new friend and they were sharing like interest in it. They were like, so what is manifesting? Like, how do you manifest? Like, I need to get 2 renters. Actually, I'm trying to get you in on this, Stephanie. They're looking for renters for their space. And I was like, why are you even trying? Just call Stephanie. Like, what are you doing?
Perfect.
I know. So I'm like, I will shake them more tonight when I see them again and just be like, excuse me? You don't need to manifest. It's called Stephanie.
Well, he did just manifest it because he knows you now and you know her.
I know, but let's go.
I love that. I support.
So silly.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, and we look at all of this stuff and like we do this daily in a ritual, but like we also do it in our businesses too when we don't even think about it. You know, like we're in Mercury retrograde right now, like don't sign any contracts until the end of the month or have a Mercury retrograde clause.
That's what I was going to say. The Mercury retrograde clause.
Yeah. Because, you know, as you can tell, things go awry.
I'm curious, Stephanie, because your business is based in contracts. Have you noticed the contracts just going kerfluffed?
Well, yeah, I guess now that you say that, I had a whole real blow up last week. Like we were just waiting for the lease to go out. I kind of gave you some background on this, which is fine. I found them something else. So that's done. But I've been doing this for almost 7 years. I've never seen something like that happen. And granted, it happened because of the hands and the actions of somebody else. But I'm also just like, and I'm still mad at this person, but me being me, like in the person that I would like to strive to be, I'm still pissed. Like I'm literally this person shouldn't look my direction for a very long time, but I do believe that he's not like some terrible, terrible person. And I think in his mind, he thought that he was doing the right thing, but like, yeah, that whole deal blew up. I've never seen something like that happen. First month's rent was paid. The apartment was approved, but it was so weird that my clients are like, when is this lease coming out? When is this? I'm like, you just got approved 24 hours ago. We're bustling this time of year. Like, give us a little bit of time. When you have the lease, you'll have 48 hours to review it. If you decide to back out, we'll give you your money back. Congratulations, you have a new apartment. Like, there's nothing to stress about anymore. A few hours later, I get the email, we're not going to go with your people anymore. We're going to go with these people because they outbid your people. I'm like, bidding was no longer on the table. The deal was closed. So anyways, you get the details, but I feel like now that I'm thinking back on, I do, maybe the Mercury retrograde had something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very weird. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Actually, there's been a lot of weird stuff happening now that
you're like, wait a minute. Okay. So you can look back. I forget when it started. I know it ends on May 14th.
I came on I got there on the 20th and it started like the day before. So like April 20th.
Okay. So it's been like 2 weeks now. So yeah, but now so I'm somebody, because I used to always blame everything on Mercury retrograde, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, just knock it off. You have to get through life anyway. So you're not going to be one of these people. Like it's a real thing. It does affect things, but I think that's like why now you guys are like saying this. And I'm like, wait, this is happening too. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like we had someone threaten to break our windows the other day. Like all types of crazy stuff has been happening. And I'm like, oh, I've just figured it's Chicago. It's no big deal. No, that doesn't normally happen. Yeah. So I definitely think that it's Mercury retrogrades in full effect.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, funny enough, when I came to Chicago, I left on the 20th. It was the start of Mercury retrograde. And I was like, you know what? Travel is always affected. So I got to the airport and, checked in. I got my bag, I'm looking at my phone and they come on and the plane coming into Charleston was late. So they were like, we're going to rush to get it cleaned up and get you on, but we might be a few minutes behind, running late. Great. Not a big deal. They do that. And then like 10 minutes later, they come over the intercom and they're like, we have some like red liquid leaking out of the wing. So maintenance is coming. We don't know how long this is going to take. If you have a connection in Chicago, we might need to talk. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and I'll get on when I get on. And right. I was like, it's Mercury, travel's affected. I get it. So I was just, nice and patient. And I had texted you and it's like, we knew this was going to happen. Right. So luckily they were like 30 minutes. And they had fixed whatever it was, which you're kind of like, that seems like a little fast for a plane fix, but okay. Get on the plane. We finally leave. We're really now only running 20 minutes behind. So people with connections should be fine. We're in the air. We're almost to Chicago. And the pilot comes on and was like, there's thunderstorms at O'Hare. So we're going to have to circle. Luckily I anticipated this. So we have enough fuel. It's like, oh my God, I just got delayed 3 times, twice on the ground, once in the air.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's travel during Mercury retrograde. It just is what it is.
But that's where it's like that balance of like, I hear what you're saying, Stephanie, too. It's like, you got to do life. Like I get that, but that's where there's that balance where I would like to just become more proficient in astrology so that I'm like, okay, like this week things are fucked. Cool. Like then I can kind of go in with a little bit more room for disappointment and like, okay. Then if I go in thinking it's an abundant, great week and I'm getting slammed, it's like,
I think that's exactly, you just explained that way better. That's what I mean was like, I still have to, but yeah, when you start pointing it out, I'm like, wait, this and this happened. That doesn't normally happen. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to do my solar return. I have that scheduled, I think next week or so or something, but like I don't have the official date. I've spoken to the person, but I'm excited to see mine as well because I'm curious if yours gave you more clarity for future because I know you were kind of thinking like uncertain of that. Did it give you any specificity to things?
I mean, it's not like that's like this predictor, right? Like it's not, that's just not how it is. But I think so. Clarity on things was more about, you know me, I'm a very introverted person. Like I just am. But this year is one of those extroverted years that like everything for me is above the horizon in my chart this year, except for Pluto, which is a whole other like shit show. So I think this year, so the one thing that was kind of a very dominant trait or theme for the year is like being seen, like in that status of these opportunities are just going to fall in your lap and you need to say yes to them because you're taking your knowledge and being a mentor and need to be seen through your work, through advocacy, whatever it is that you do. But it will be a lot of visual this year, of like me visually, which makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of
good because that's what you wanted. So
yeah, so it's not like so it's not like specific in that, oh yeah, Netflix is going to call you and give you a show. Not specific like that, but let's knock on wood. But just that, like that theme of like visibility this year, a theme of relationship changes this year across the board, friendships falling off, a lot more like followers coming in from a social perspective, like a lot of like things like that. So it's always one of those things, like you go through it and I'm like sitting there and I'm listening and I'm digesting all of it at the time and processing. But then I like now a day later, I'm like, shit, what did we talk about? So I got to go back. I'll actually listen to it like again in the next week or two. And then in like 6 months, I'll listen to it again just to be like, okay, what was this all about again? What's happening? And try and like go, is this all really happening? Like we talked about? It normally is, just as a like refresher of like what's going on.
I wish they would like print off, like, I know we get the audios, I know we get the like charts, but I wish they would print off like a Cliff Note version that you could do exactly what you're saying, of just like read into and just review and be like, okay, right, I'm good. Or like,
Well, they kind of do. Do you use CoStar?
Oh, I use CoStar. Yes. Ashley does too. She just doesn't use it every day.
Let me say I have it, but I don't use it as well as I should. Yeah. So yes, actually. Okay. Yeah. So CoStar, we'll add that. Yep.
Yeah. I have it
on my natal chart. So I need to do that.
Oh, really? Oh, do you have CoStar?
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like I've never had someone else like really go in depth of it, but I do have. Yeah.
It's really interesting. So like the natal chart reading really gives you insight into you. So like we always see the sun sign, like we all know our sun sign. I'm a Taurus. Ashley's a Taurus. You're a Virgo. Mm-hmm. Right. I thought I remembered that. Which that's actually pretty good because my memory is not great, but, we all kind of know those things and we kind of know the traits of those things of who we are, but when they're very common, like high level themes of stuff. It's really like when you get into your natal chart, you get into like, okay, your moon and your ascendant and like a lot. So like,
I like my moon and my rising, but I just know there's like, when you start getting deep into like the 12 of this and like, I don't know.
Like Mercury for me is in Taurus. Like, so like the themes of Mercury as far as like communication are very Taurus in nature of how I deal with things. So like you get into all of those planets and the signs they're in, and it kind of is this makeup of who you are. Cause I've had a lot of people that like are Taurus people that go, I don't really resonate with Taurus. I don't feel like I'm a Taurus, because you think of Taurus as like being very like nature oriented and like they love earth and all of that kind of stuff. And like, that's not me. I like nice things. I like that part of Taurus, but that's not the other planets then kind of make up why I don't resonate with that. And I resonate with other things. So it like really kind of, it's almost like a fingerprint, so it's very unique to you. So like, I know I'm a Taurus and I actually am very much Taurus, but my moon's a Leo. And my ascendant is a Cancer. So like when we did my natal chart, like she came into it was like, so your purpose in life, like your lesson to learn in this life is to learn to have feelings. And I'm like, what? She was like, because you have Cancer rising, and Cancer is a very like feeling kind of sign. And your rising is the like lesson you need to learn in this life, because probably in a past life, you were a missionary and you just did the work to get it done. I'm like, I kind of like that now. She was like, yep. So that's why your purpose in this life, the lesson you're meant to learn is to like learn to have feelings. And I was like, oh, that's hard. Okay. So it's like really interesting. And I'm like, I get that. It's insightful in that way. So I like have to check myself a lot of times, like when I'm in situations, because I'm also you know, an empath in nature to go, like, I feel a lot of energy. So I have to really check in with myself and go, okay, is this how I'm feeling or somebody else is feeling? Or like, am I getting the mood of the room, or is this actually me? Because my lesson is to learn my feelings. So
I had that this week. I was absorbing 2 other people's situations and making them my own, and they are not mine. And I really got lost in it. Like, I mean, I was in it. Like, God. So I had to kind of check myself yesterday on that. So that's what was nice in that circle. They helped me realize that. They're like, is any of that true for you? And I was like, no, but I don't want it to be. And they're like, okay, so it's good to observe, but don't take it on. And I was like, shit.
Yeah. It's like, it's not easy to do.
Mm-mm.
It's not easy to do.
So astrology and our woo side has been covered. How is business? How's everybody doing with work right now? Same kind of just clusterfuck that since the planets are being all crazy, or anybody create new goals of things? I mean, it's Q2, which is wild. So we're just starting a new quarter.
That's mind blowing to me.
I know.
But we're almost halfway through the quarter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. That's creepy. Actually, now that you say that, that's true.
Yeah. We're a month into it. I know.
Any focuses for Q2? Do we give a shit, or are we just still trying to thrive and survive?
I'm on this like fence every day of like, okay, you're going to go out there and you're going to kick ass. And then there's this other part where I'm like, you're going to go home and you're going to sell everything. And we're moving to a beach somewhere. We're going to sell pineapples and mangoes. But yeah, today, like we're going to try to go kick some ass, I guess. But I'm always a teeter totter of like, we can go to a beach.
I get that too. I feel like I have like drive and ambition from about 9 to 2. At 2 o'clock, I start questioning my existence and humanity. At 3 o'clock, I just want a nap. At 5 o'clock, I'm like, let's quit. And then about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., I'm like this creative genius that like awakens.
I want to take it and make it like really real and like vulnerable for a minute. I'm sure you can relate to this. Like my job is very, like I get a lot of gratification out of it, but there's times that you put a lot of work in and it just doesn't pay off right away. And like, I'm used to that, but there's like, I don't make an hourly salary. So you get paid, but at the same time, there's also no ceiling on me. I can make as much as I want to make, but so there's pros and cons, right? But there's times that I'm sure, I feel like you were kind of touching on this, where it's like, you have to be 3 different people. And sometimes you're just like, I'm not getting hang for 3 different people yet though. And, you know, and then there's sometimes when you're like, you are, and you're doing great, but it's just, I don't know. So it's just, it's a flow. And like, I know that roller coaster ride, but
I like Ronnie, was I not saying word verbatim this to you yesterday? Like verbatim.
I mean, yeah.
Same.
Well, and I mean, so I feel like everybody is kind of going through this one, whether it's on a personal level of like, I just want to like sell everything and start over. Cause I think we all have moments of that, but I do see that kind of trend right now. But this whole like up and down dip thing, not only do I see it like for us as like entrepreneurs and kind of how we all work, but even in my clients, like my corporate clients, I'm seeing that happen with them. Like even with cash flow with one of my clients, like third quarter last year, like we were like, hell yeah, let's go party. We got all kinds of cash. And then come fourth quarter, we were like, shit, you know, and then like we get back to January and cash flows back in, you know, cause just the way like work has worked out. And so I'm seeing this ebb and flow, not only in like how we feel about work, but actual like work itself, of like things coming in and being like, okay, now it's popping. And then like going, it all died off all of a sudden. And then 4 weeks later, it's back to, you know, like popping again. It's just really weird. And I think it's because there's so much uncertainty right now. Like I think across the board, there's just so much uncertainty in the world that people are like, I am paralyzed in doing anything because I don't know what to expect.
I feel like the world is rewriting itself, like in general, like everything is creating a new norm. And like, we knew it was coming, but we're like, what's the word? Just like denial that it's happening. Like we all knew it was coming, but just didn't. Oh yeah, the new norm's coming. The new norm's coming. babes, it's here. Like it's happening. We have to like undo all of this. And I'm in the same boat too. Like full transparency. I wish more people would talk this candidly. And that's also why we created this show, but more so too, like, I just so appreciate you sharing that, Stephanie. And then like, myself sharing it with you too, and vice versa with Ronnie. Like we all have these conversations almost secretly out of shame and guilt. Like I need to confess this. Like I feel this way, but that's the name of the game. And people have so polished it to make it seem like you should be happy and they're sugarcoating and it should be great in millions and millions. And it is nothing of the truth of the journey, you know?
People put on that front too. And it's like, because I'm somebody that like, no matter what, I always want to see other people happy. Like that, seeing other people happy brings me joy, which is part of the reason why I love my job. But when I see, like, I'll even use, for example, there's certain agents, like I've been doing this long enough that I don't care if you're a top producer or not. You always go like ups and downs. It's just what happens in this industry. So, but when you hear like certain agents that like always have like this, what's it like, it's like kind of like a fake confidence in a way. And there's a word for it, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, it's like a false, you know, self-esteem kind of in a way. So like they overcompensate in some way. And then when you hear them talk about like, man, I'm like stressed this month, I'm not, and I'm like, okay, I'm not happy to hear you say that because you're not performing, but it's really nice to hear that you're human and you know what I mean? And it's easier to like even want to support somebody like that rather than seeing somebody that like wants to just act like everything's perfect. And like, you never wake up and wondering if you're in the right field or if you just quit your, like, do you know what I mean? Like, because that is easier for a normal human to relate to and be like, well, because I have those thoughts too. Sometimes you do too. Oh, wow. Okay. So I shouldn't just quit my job or like sell everything because we're normal, because these are normal thoughts because we're human. And you never know. There wasn't some manual thrown at you the day you were born and be like, here's your plan. Now you follow this one by one and you'll be just fine. No, we didn't get that. So every day you're questioning like, am I doing the right thing? Is this right? And some days you're not. Sometimes you're like, I'm that girl. I'm that bitch. Like I'm on my shit. No one can say anything to me. But most of the times we're always wondering like, is this right? Is this, you know, like, so it's easier to relate to somebody. And it's like, I don't want to hear someone complaining every single day, but I'm like, it's easier to relate to somebody that can be upfront and just honest because we're all feeling that way, I think, in one way or another, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I say it all the time, like when we see other people out there and they, you know, seem confident and successful. And like, you see like the whole, like, I'm making millions of dollars kinds of things. You're only seeing what they want you to see.
Right.
Like everything's curated. Like I only let people see what I want them to see.
Right.
You know, so like we then as observers of that go, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, you know, like
out there, everyone needs to remember more money, more problems always. So
I want to try though.
Absolutely. But just remember, like with that comes, like, I remember when I started making more money and I was like, whoa. And I said that to somebody, I was like, I feel like now that I need to make more money. And they looked at me and they're like, there's a rap song from the 90s and it's more money, more problems. Just know that that's going to come with it. And it's not a bad thing. It's, as long as you're getting more money, but there's always going to be something else that you want or something nicer. You have this new car this year. Well, next year you want the next new car or the new iPhone. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, you're always going to want to one up yourself. So
yeah.
I almost feel like though it's kind of pacifying or giving ourselves, I hate this word, but like self-care, self-love, something for making the shit journey a little bit better. So like, I know this sounds really silly, but when the girls came out here to visit, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the aftermath of this, because I wanted to like set my place up to be like almost like an Airbnb. I mean, down to like mints in the bathroom the other day. Okay, this is a funny story. And I'll go back to my original point, but so I put like mints in the bathroom. I put like a little poopery thing. Like I wanted all the towels to be clean. I wanted it to be just like, so like, if you could think of something you would need, it would be there. And then the other day I was like, wait, now that I don't have company here, I kind of look like a prostitute with mints in the bathroom. I was like, ooh, I might need to remove those. I was like, because we would naturally just have that. But it's like this thing though. It's like and again, going back to what you were saying earlier about the rituals that we put in when we need something, but not on the day to day. And it's like, I think if you know, from this conversation, I know you guys are helping me. I'm actually going to walk away with like, okay, the normal is the shit journey. The exception is that when everything's going right. So what could I do to make the uncertainty a little bit more comfortable? And like the same way that when we say like Mercury retrograde is happening, then we're like, okay, I know my flights are going to be delayed today. So like, I'm having this epiphany right now. Like, okay, so it's not Mercury, it's not anything, just that it's a shit journey. Okay, so now that I know it's a shit journey and I can stop trying to think or make it into this positivity journey, like, okay, now I can live with this shit a little bit easier and just be like, no, we're good.
And I hate to throw this, and I annoy so many people when I do, and I do it often, but I'm like, when something's like Ronnie said, okay, I knew that something was going to go wrong with the travel today. She could have been delayed and like had to fly out the next day. Good thing is she didn't. She got delayed 3 times, but she still made it to Chicago the same day that she was supposed to get there. It wasn't that bad. I think, and it's annoying because it's like, you don't always want to be positive. And I can say like, when someone's pissed off, the last thing that you need is someone getting in your face, trying to spread some positivity when you just want to be mad. But at the same time, take a few deep breaths. And then when you're ready, I always tell people like, think right now, like something that you're grateful for. And like people, I'm not talking about like big things. Like if you went to the bathroom this morning, that means everything's working in your body. That's something to be grateful for. It's silly, but I had an Uber driver ask me that or tell me this one morning. He was pissed off. He's driving on Thanksgiving. He asked me this common question and he goes, everybody has something to be grateful for, blah, blah, blah. And he said that. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. And we don't even think about that. Like I woke up and stood up today, like my legs were working. So, and then also when shitty things are happening, always know like, and it's so corny. I'm like cringing, but it doesn't rain forever. And, you know, and also like I told you the other day, like diamonds are made out of pressure. So sometimes when everything's shitting on you, something good's getting ready to come from it. So try to stay strong, watch your tongue in those moments because we get emotional and sometimes we might say something we don't mean and you can't take that back. But yeah, I don't know. But the thing is like when you're going through like what you just said is like typically normal in life, it's like not everything's perfect, but you do have to try to, I think, see the bigger picture. And it's annoying, but like try to find those positivity things, but also being mad as a healthy emotion. And it's really frustrating that people like can't understand that. Like,
no. And that's why I love both of you girls. Like I can call you mad and you let me be mad. I can call you frustrated and you let me be frustrated. I can call you and tell you I am burning iconic details down. I never want to do it again. And you're like, okay, let's burn it down today. Like torch it. Let's do this. Knowing quite well that tomorrow I will be up bright and early, bushy tailed, doing it again. But have you two, I'm sure you have, but just point for show purposes. Have you two had people where like you say that to them and they take it at face value and think you've actually closed the business and you're like, fucking, I was just
lectured. Right. And that's the thing too. Like sometimes not everything needs an answer. You just need to be listened. I just need to be heard. I don't need you to give me advice. I already know all the corny, and I say corny and I'm joking, but like, you know, all the cliche positivity things. Like I've got it. Just let me bitch. That's all I need right now.
Yeah.
Or the simple phrase of how can I support you? Because sometimes I don't need to tell you 3 things that I'm grateful for right now. I need to yell. So, you know.
Yeah. I tell people this all the time, like when they're talking to me about situations, like I can think of a situation with my girlfriends that I dance with, you know, one of them was like bitching about another one that, you know, a teacher we had, and like, it was a whole big thing. I won't get into the details, but then like after the fact, you know, she left our coffee group, she had something to do, and they were all like talking about, she's so upset over this thing. And, you know, they're going on and on about how she needs to get over it. And I just looked at it and I was like, she's allowed to feel any way she wants to feel. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, you're right. I was like, you can't do it for her. She's allowed to feel any way she wants to feel. And, you know, I think that's kind of where we come from. Like, this is where I get into that point, what like you're talking about, Stephanie, of like, it drives me fucking crazy when I'm going through my Instagram feed and it's nothing but positive, like love life shit. And I'm like, this is toxic positivity. Like you are setting me up for failure right now because I only see what you want me to see. And it's all the positive shit. And, you know, we're all faking it till we make it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's very toxic though, because
very
that's
toxic
life. Like bad things do happen, and life isn't just rainbow farts and butterflies and giggles. Like we need to know other emotions and handling those emotions in a healthy way. And this is something too, I feel like, especially in like our society, it's so normal to just like deflect and don't be angry, don't yell, don't do the, I can yell and be angry and still be a non-toxic. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm yelling and I'm not yelling at you, or I don't know. So I just feel like, but me holding in those feelings and suppressing them and not getting them out is also extremely toxic and unhealthy. So you have to have equal balance. And it shouldn't be like, oh, when you're happy and feeling great, let's spread that like a wildfire. But anything else that makes people feel uncomfortable, you better just zip it. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I really love how you said too, like, you know, sometimes we just need to be heard. Sometimes we just need to have somebody say, how can I support you? And sometimes we don't need someone to fix it too. You know, I can play both sides of that. Sometimes I can be a fixer. I know that about myself. And I've really tried to be better at, like, you know, I see you, like, instead of when I hear something that I could help with or fix or something, you know, where I say like, hey, are you open to support with that? Like, cause I could do that, you know, and like this rental that I will get for you, Stephanie, I'm working on it, but I was like, there were furnishings, things happening. And I was like, are you open to support with that? Or like, are you good? Do you have it? And they were like, oh no, I'm fine. And then it was, I just posted it here. I was like, here are 3 other groups. And I was like, oh, you're fixing, don't do that. Stop it. But, you know, manifesting, it was very cute though. They're new to manifesting. So they're like, how do you manifest? And I was like, well, you say very specifically, like within the next 2 weeks, I would like this type of resident that, you know, has no pets, has no kids, is just paying the rent, and is often the thing is they're wanting traveling nurses, which very specific. So I was like, add that, do this. And then I'm going to be really excited if the residents come through for them, because that would just be cool and prove my point on manifesting.
Yeah.
But, well, and two, I mean, I think as we're talking about all of this, like we have all of these feelings and we're not encouraged to express them like publicly, but also I don't know about you guys, but I know that like anytime I have expressed like frustration with things, one, people try to fix it, or all of a sudden you get all of these like comments on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, like when you express a frustration, and then you get like everybody, like my mom sees it, and then I have to have a call, and I'm like, life's not falling apart. I'm just frustrated right now. Like, you know, like I just want you, like, this is now why I don't then talk about it, is because now I just don't want to deal with all the aftermath of that.
Or even just having this conversation, I'm going to speak for myself. I feel like I'm reminded, okay, I have even more tools than I've been using. I should be calling you and not feeling guilty when I need to call and just be like, hey, I'm venting. But I could do a better job of being like, when I pick up, being like, hey, I'm having a planet day. I just want to bitch, but also help me to feel like I can end the day and start tomorrow. But it's like, I think too, just having more conversations, because it reminds me, oh, that's right, I'm not journaling. I'm not doing my, you know, woo rituals. I can come to you, and it's safe to come to you. It's okay to have multiple emotions. Like, oh,
I've learned, like, I have like my select people that I call, because you try to call anybody and granted, they don't have bad intentions, but it's like, I didn't need you to tell me that I was wrong and how I'm feeling. I didn't need you to tell me that I should have handled it this way or this or that. And, you know, sometimes I think, and I'm going to say this for myself, I forget that sometimes those conversations of like, hey, Ashley, you know, maybe you should have handled it this way. Those are good conversations to have, but maybe not right then. Maybe that's a conversation for, hey, let her vent right now. And then later, you know, circling back, I just wanted to maybe bring this up, like whatever, if it feels like it needs to be something that is discussed, but like, sometimes I feel like our timing's just really off with that. Yeah. Like we need to like take a couple steps back and like maybe prep that person before going into that lecture or telling them how bad they suck about their decisions or their feelings. Like let them vent and get it out. But yeah, I've had to be really cautious with who you call, because if you're calling somebody and sometimes you're in that vulnerable state, or like you are really, the emotions are high, et cetera. Like I don't need someone even to slightly disagree with me in that moment. Like,
I know.
And yeah, say what you want. I don't want to hear something that I don't want to hear. Fine. No, I don't in that moment. Not at all. I would need someone to maybe just not say anything. So
yeah, that's one of those moments I say, you got to read the room, right? Like, you know, when you walk into that conversation, with somebody. Like sometimes you just have to read the room of they need to vent. You just go, that's my job here. Listen, you know, and then it might be a conversation that they are coming and asking for advice. Like you just kind of have to read the room on that. Like when you're getting into those situations. But yeah, and I mean, I know both of you just talked about like the whole, like burning it all down. I will guarantee you, I've been in business for myself since 2008. And every single year I keep my resume updated to this day.
Yeah.
You never know when you need it for something.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't have an intention of using it. I don't have that feeling of like, I want to burn it all down. I just want to go work for somebody and not think about all of this. But I always keep my resume updated.
Yeah.
You know, because we all have those thoughts. Like, I mean, there are definitely days that my to-do list is 400 miles long. And at 3:00, I'm like, I'm not getting any of this done. And I feel unaccomplished. You know, I just gonna have to wait till tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah. That's something that I've started. Like, I guess it's like one of my daily affirmations now that I try to always tell myself is like, I'm never stuck. You're never stuck. There's always, if you don't like your job anymore, if you don't like where you live anymore, if you don't like a certain friend or a relationship or a burger, that I don't care. You're never stuck. You always have an option. It may not be the best option, but you always have an option. So always, yeah. You're never, but same with that, like always keeping options and opportunities open for yourself. So keep that resume. I always tell people too, like if you get an interview opportunity to go, even if you don't think that you're looking for a job, it's important. And I hate to give him credit, but I actually had an ex tell me that. And he was like, go to any interview you can. It's practice. You're practicing those social skills and how to sell yourself and how to speak for yourself or negotiate that higher salary or whatever the case may be. So even if I were to never plan to leave the brokerage that I'm with, like me going to interview, it just keeps your mind open to what is out there and how things, I don't know. And also I think too, just to, you know, keep those skills, the interviewing skills, I guess, you know, polished, but.
Well, and two, I mean, we've all done it. I went back to a job,
Yeah.
you know, in 2017, like, you know, business wasn't great. And I got wooed into software startup and, you know, it was one of those like conversations where it's, you know, you're starting on the ground floor, you're employee number 2, like when we go public, you'll have shares. And I was like, well, you know, I kind of need the money. Business isn't great right now. All right. You know, and went back to a job and, you know, I learned so much at that job and it was great in that regard because I learned a lot about marketing because I had budgets and like there were a lot of definitely benefits to it. I did also realize I'm a terrible employee, awful, terrible employee. I'm surprised I didn't get fired before I did, but you know,
Why would you just not like to follow?
I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. Every time I like walked into a meeting with the owner and he had this like stupid fucking idea. And I was like, this is not how business works. Like, no, I am not putting you on. He wanted to do a commercial that was like an Arrested Development episode. And I was like, where's software for short-term rentals? Like, what does this have to do with anything? Just a terrible idea. And like, then I'm like, well, and I mean, he had this business model, like by the time I actually did get fired, I was like, this business model is not going to make money. Like, this is not my job. I'm the director of marketing here. My job is just to get inbound marketing and to get you people. My job's not to tell you how to run the business, but I can tell you right now, this business model is not going to make any money. You're making a penny on every credit card transaction that you make. To make $1 million, you're going to need a billion transactions to make any money. So, he actually did start to pivot and then COVID hit. And that's when I got laid off. And luckily I kept a few of my clients from, you know, my job. So I was able to like, at least quickly get back to a few things. So I had like money coming in and start to build my business back up. But, you know, after the fact, my mom, I love her to death. My mom's the most wonderful woman in the world, but you know, you get laid off and you kind of have a pity party for yourself for a day. And then you know, for me, then I was kind of like, this is probably the best thing that's ever happened. But, you know, my parents, who get very worried for you, are kind of like, you know, something will come along, like, you know, you'll get another job, just get that resume out there. And I was like, you know what? The only thing guaranteed in life is what I make for myself. Like, yes, you're telling me I need to go get a job so that I can like have security. The only thing secure is what I make for myself. Mm-hmm. And so here I am working for myself still, you know, and that's just kind of, you know, but we all do it. I went back to, you know, you never know. I might go back to another one. Somebody might come to me with a shit ton of money one day and I'm like, sure.
No matter
you never know. Huh?
I said, I'll take it. No.
For sure. All right, ladies, I want to honor your time. We are over based off of our late start of tech issues, but still, this was such a great conversation. Stephanie, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your woo ways with us. Today's episode was all in the woo and astrology. So I loved this conversation. Does anyone want to share like a final takeaway or a thought before we end?
Thank you both for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for just being in our lives. Like, it's a blessing to have you on the show, but it's even more so just thank you for helping me find my dream, live my dream, be in Chicago. This never would have happened without you. And now being friends with you has also been amazing and just like, could never have asked for that. So thank you for that. And yeah, I think I am, after we end this episode, I'm going to really check in on my rituals. What am I doing? Am I still doing everything that I know to do? Cause shit, we know what to do. Like, just remember like and I'm going to take it with the grain of salt of like, instead of somebody asking me, I'm asking myself, what kind of support do I need right now? Like in this level of shit, which is not unexpected. We should expect shit. Okay, great. So like reminder, this is lifelong shit season. So in shit season, what do I need to help with that, you know, and get back into it.
Yep. Build habits.
Everything. All right.
And I stay committed to your habits, especially your habits for yourself. I feel like we slack on ourselves. That's something I'm really trying to work on. It's like, be like committed to myself the way that I have to some ex-boyfriends that didn't deserve it, you know?
Yep. Well, then everyone, the final thoughts that I have for you are that we go live every Thursday at 11 Central Time. Figure out your time zones. We have the Mimosa hotline for you to call in, ask your questions, leave your thoughts with us, questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts, whatever you want. We have BYOB opportunity, which is bring your own business, where you get an hour with Ronnie and I to discuss your branding and marketing. Those are available to you at any time to either do privately or publicly. And we are going to be taking the podcast to this next level of actually being a podcast, where we are launching it on the formal platforms and audio. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we will see you next week. So bye, guys.
All right. Bye.
So, oh no.